din ako sa wall ko eh.
Oo nga,
Right,
yung wall mo inaabangan ko.
eto na. And
Alright.
we're updated now, and I think we're on.
We're live,
Good
we're live.
afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon
We
sa
are
bagong
actually
tatay.
live. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Alright.
Panganim.
Paano going for
Alam ko
7 ba
sa
tayo?
nag-play. Hindi na, sir. Medyo masakit sa budget. Medyo hindi na siya nakakatuwa eh.
Oo.
So,
Actually, kung sa movie ni Adam Sandler, pare, you can do it! You're doing good!
hindi ko.
Congrats,
Pero,
congrats sa'yo.
syempre,
Congrats sa inyo, kid.
syempre, it's still a big blessing for me and my family and for our family and
Oo.
uh ano eh ngayon lang ako nagkaroon ng kasi usually when my kids are born na doon ka abang ka sa nurse na sa room. Now
Oo.
what we did is alam mo yun, syempre ayun namin pupunta sa hospital, and then I consulted, ano ba, okay lang ba mag-line-in clinic tayo?
Oo.
Kasi kung line-in clinic, there would be rooms there. May mga line-in clinic kasi may mga rooms. Private
Mm.
room. Hindi ka naman mag-stay kasi pag nanganak ka, lalo normal eh, di ba?
Oh,
So,
yes, yes. Pinalalakad na
ayaw
nga
na,
yan ngayon.
ayaw nga namin pumunta ng hospital. So, parang, kasi kinakabahan eh, di ba? I mean, we
Of
could, but
course.
I don't want to actually because we don't want to risk. Syempre si Dinah
Yeah.
and the baby being exposed
Ang
to
mabigat nun, galing ka pang flu. You had
ayun
that
pa,
scare.
yun pa. Sabi ko sobrang ano ng immune system ko, sobrang compromise ngayon panahon na
Yeah.
to. So yun, punta kami, lying in clinic. It was, kasi ang nagustuhan ko lang doon, sana pala lahat ng mga anak ko, ganun na lang nangyari.
Mm.
Alam mo bakit? You have quick access to your kid. Alam mo yung pagkapanganak, syempre, hindi ako allowed sa delivery room. Pero
Oo.
pagkapanganak, lumabas na yung bata, alam mo yung wala na yung
Mabilis.
bureaucracy ng ospital na,
Yes,
mamaya pa
mabilis.
ganito. Hindi. Pag gano'n, nanganak na po siya, pwede naman
Mm.
makita. Oo, pwede na, bakit hindi? Diretso. As in, wala pang 5 minutes. Alam mo, groggy pa yung asawa ko na,
Correct,
mapanganak
correct.
pa lang. And it's intimate. That's the first time I've experienced something like that.
Mm.
Pwede nga daw akong pumunta sa loob. Pucha, alam mo yung feeling ko, alam mo yung sa comedy, pag nakita ka ng dugo, bigla ka, bigla ka hiwagayan.
Pero pare,
Nakikita ko.
that's another blessing for you. Congrats, congrats.
Ay.
Another bundle of joy.
Okay, so yeah, it is. It's even though pang-anim na to, talagang alam mo yun, you still have the same emotions.
Of
Actually,
course.
parang alam mo yun, maliit na bata, napakaliit eh, uh, syempre sensitive, di mo mahawakan,
Oo.
hindi ko pa nakikiss hanggang ngayon. As in, paa lang. Pero alam mo yun,
Napalag.
di ba? Pero yun. So, a lot of things happened this week, pero
Mm.
isa ang talagang medyo uh, mainit. Like,
Uh,
wala pang 72 hours tong
Wala pa.
news na
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. Around Thursday
Uh,
yata to pumutok men eh. Para mga
yep.
Thursday, no? Yeah.
And it's pretty much frontman of Slapshot.
Mm.
One of the uh, bands na talaga established dito sa Pilipinas are, their vocalist Jamir Garcia apparently, allegedly,
Mm.
hindi ko alam kung allegedly or ano na, but he was found lifeless sa
Flagless, yeah.
loob ng banyo per the reports,
Mm.
and allegedly it was due to suicide. Pero
Mm.
I have been following this news about Slapshot for a month now, for over a month now,
Ano to eh,
and
a little sad for us because generation band natin yan, right?
yes. And ano kasi may backstory to eh. Prior nung mga around October, may
Yeah,
malaking
yeah.
nangyari kasi sa kanila
Mga,
eh. So, but we're not gonna talk about it like
yeah.
magmamamaro lang. What we want to happen is make sure that we talk about it with someone who's professional in talking about this,
Correct.
and talking about this topic, because for the longest time this topic, it happened usually, surprisingly, with rock stars, right? We have Chester
Yung
Bennington,
well-known people.
uh, Scott Wayland. I'm not Scott
Uh,
Wayland, and si ano pa, isa pa, and
Actually, pare, wag na natin isipin eh. Yung pinaka unang-una lahat nung nashock tayo ng mga teenager pa tayo, Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain. Yes.
Oh, di
So
ba?
it is something that not I'm not exactly sure if it's taboo for a lot of people, but a lot of people would want to talk about it but cannot.
Mm.
I guess that would be the word. And as titos, I think it's about time, kasi I want to share also inputs from the time when I was young, and I was around my 20s. I've been hearing a lot of these things before, pero
Yeah.
syempre iba ang ating iba ang generation natin, how we took it, how we approached it, how our elderly approach it during that time. So now we have a guest, and Jay, I want you
Yes.
to introduce our guest today.
Yeah, yes. Of course, it's my pleasure. So, mga katitos and titas, our guest for today is a very young leader, very young achiever. He champions on the mental health awareness as citing on youth. He's focusing on youth. Siguro some academic background nitong batang to is one is very young. Younger na, sagang Tito tawag natin. Tito tawag nito sa atin.
Tito talaga
Um,
tawag sa akin kanina.
yes. He is a psychology graduate of UST. Currently is part of the social science faculty of Colegio de San Juan de Letran. Siguro yung mga association organization sa kanya napakadami. He was a active Boy Scout when he was young, and now he's championing the Youth for Mental Health Coalition in the Philippines as a vice chairperson of education and research. So siguro Tito JM, pasok na natin si Sir Kenny. Sir Kenny Aranas.
Yan,
Sir
hello.
Kenny,
Magandang
hello.
hapon.
Magandang
Sir
hapon sa iyo,
Kenny.
and thank you for joining us today in such a short notice.
Maraming salamat.
Yes.
No problem, Tito JM. At para sa mga nanonood ngayon, tito ko talaga tong si Tito J. Legit na tito ko talaga to.
Alam mo, JM, ganyan na ganyan yung itsura ko nung may buhok pa ako, kaya nagsusumbero. wala na ako buhok.
May pa.
Ganyan datingan natin, no? Talaga Chinito,
Iba eh.
Chinisoy, nako. So mga
Ito before we go to the nitty-gritty na topic natin ngayon. As a chef, hindi pa professor, high school di ba?
high school, yeah.
Meron na bang sa'yo, as Sir Kenny, alam mo yun, yung nag-show
Pwede ka ba
ng,
sa prom?
may nagkaroon na ba ng, ito yung word infatuation.
Oo, yun. Or do you feel it? Or do you ignore it?
Nakikita ko naman, may mga estudyante ko na, Sir Kenny, tawagin mo si ganito sa recitation. Sabi ko, bakit? May crush yan sa'yo. Ha? So, nung una, kasi syempre, nung pumasok ako sa senior high school, fresh out of college, first job ko pa to. So, parang nakita ko, yung mga senior high school noon, yung first batch ng senior high school, doon ako pumasok. Parang hindi ganun kalayo yung agwat namin. Parang,
yes.
Parang yung senior ako sa college, tapos freshman sila. Parang yun lang yung agwat namin.
Correct.
And actually, ito pero biro your facial features you would pass a senior high school.
Yeah, of course.
You would pass
First day ko sa Letran, hinarangan ako ng guard. Sir, saan po ID nyo? Kasi pinakita ko, wala pa akong employee ID pa nun eh. Sabi ko, sir, mag-a-apply po ako ng college, ng teaching po.
Diba?
Ayaw nila maniwala na teacher ako. Tapos siguro mga 1 or 2 weeks after, sir, morning po, morning, ganun na.
Tagal bago mag-sink in,
Pinakita ko yung employee ID ko.
Tapos siguro pinapaabanayin kita ng mga gwardiya sa labas eh. Teacher ba yun?
Ganun naman talaga, mas bata na yung mga guro ngayon.
Oo nga. Oo nga.
Mga fresh out of college.
Syempre, and we need a lot of that. Syempre, 'di ba? Para ano lang 'yan eh. Alam mo 'yun, the supply and demand for teachers in the Philippines ay medyo sa totoo lang is pakumukonti. We do have and you know and most sometimes syempre hindi maano pero the quality yung batch na kasi there let's admit it, there would be certain batches at different levels of professions. Yung mga magagaling, they would first opt to teach abroad. You know, di ba? Even nurses. Some of the nurses, yung mga nasa top, even doctors that would practice na nasa top nung makakuha ng board exam, they would opt to go somewhere else other than, and there would be, you know, a few people really, you know, that would say that I would like to commit in teaching, in you know, in serving the Filipino people, and that I completely, you know, I hands down, man, sobra. So, ayun. Now, let's get to the topic.
Yes.
You know, because we will have a lot of things to talk about today. And siguro my first question, just to start off, why is this happening? What is the main cause of, you know, people, you know, you would have the option, or your last option is to take your own life?
Actually,
Inano ko na, hindi na ako ano, ayoko na i-sugarcoat eh. Why would kasi let's bring it out there. Yun naman talaga eh.
Kasi doon din punta ng topic natin ngayon.
that is happening, that a person would opt as a last option to take his own life?
Una sa lahat, I think that we should focus on what are the reasons kung bakit. Diba? So, syempre, the ultimate question pagdating sa mga ganitong sitwasyon is bakit? Why? What happened? But those are some of the usual questions. Pero there's a lot of things happening sa, you know, sa buhay ng tao na yan na baka hindi natin alam. May pinagdadaanan ba siya? May bad breakup? May big emotional crisis na nangyayari sa buhay niya? Is there, you know, something going on? That's something na I think na hindi hina-highlight yung mga like the media. Diba? Usually ang focus ng media pagdating sa ganyan is about the situation and the person. Pero
Correct.
there's not a lot of focus on the backstory kung bakit.
Yeah.
Diba? As you maybe have mentioned before, it's been a rising case. Hindi lang sa mga hindi lang sa mga kabataan, but also across, you know, all ages na tumataas yung rates ng depression and suicide. And ako personally bilang isang professional in psychology at isang guro, hindi ko masabi kung ano yung, you know, yung pinaka-cause. Kasi marami. There's a lot. There's social factors, 'di ba? Yung relationships natin sa iba't ibang tao, family, isa 'yun sa mga big factors for a lot of people, lalo na sa mga kabataan, family and academics for young people. For older for older generations of people, baka it's the change, 'di ba? Changing times. Lots of things are happening right now at baka you know, it's becoming more difficult to cope up with the situation. At saka you know, ultimately, syempre from a scientific standpoint, there is that biological factor na kapag nangyari siya sa ibang family members mo, may chance pa rin na there is a chance na baka makuha mo rin yung tinatawag na predisposition. You are more likely to have this particular mental health concern.
Okay, Kenny, that's where I'm very interested at. Kasi the word itself, when people start to talk about depression, it's a word that they're scared to say, scared to understand, scared of everything. Sa akin, bilang somebody who's let's say an ordinary person that just observes people around, ang depression ba ay dumadaan sa lahat ng tao? The reason why I ask that is kasi ang normal na concept of depression is lungkot. And ang unang lungkot na nararamdaman ng tao, kami ni Tito JM, yung unang busted namin sa babae. masasabi ba na yung state na yun is we underwent a certain depression, na we were very down during that time because it was our first experience of being rejected, pero hindi lang namin siguro siya pinut into that context on how it is predefined now or how it is defined now?
Siguro because of the understanding ng ibang tao sa psychology, 'di ba? Mas naging open yung mga tao to understand kung ano talaga ang psychology, kung ano iniisip ng mga tao. Ito yung kaya kong ipaliwanag ngayon. Ang sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, everyone gets sad. Totoo 'yan. Sadness is a normal emotion of life. 'Di ba? Pag may bad grade, kapag may ginawa kang mali, ayun, na-busted ka or something like that, may namatay, it's normal to be sad. And sadness is a normal emotion. However, normal sadness is different than having depression. Depression
Okay.
is a prolonged sadness. So, sobrang tagal na malungkot ka. And hindi lang malungkot ka. There are lots of other factors that are symptoms, signs and symptoms that we're looking out for, na nawalan ka ng gana, feeling very tired, minsan overeating or undereating, wala kang ganang kumain, oversleeping or undersleeping, 'di ba? Pag sobrang lungkot mo, ayaw mo lumabas sa kwarto, ayaw mo gumising. That's something that we tend to look out for. Any kind of slowing down of movements, na wala ka ng interest sa mga activities na nagustuhan mo dati. Kunwari, mahilig ka talaga mag-basketball, tapos out of nowhere, parang ayaw mo na mag-basketball. Hindi mo rin ma-explain kung bakit ayaw mo na mag-basketball, basta hindi ka na nag-i-enjoy. That may be something to look out for. So, in terms of normal life situations, kailangan natin malaman kung is it normal for us to respond that way? 'Di ba? Kaya sabi ko kanina, sadness is a normal part of life. Lahat naman tayo nalulungkot. Pero when your sadness is going on for a very long time and is already starting to affect your different areas of life, like your work, your studying, interactions with other people, it may be a sign that it is turning into something like depression.
Tito J. Ngayon ko lang
Tito J,
naintindihan.
Ano ko eh. Hindi kasi may follow-up question ako dyan. Kasi ito ang typical is let's put it in yung sa society natin, 'di ba? And I want you guys to think of it na pag kasi tulad niyan, now a person, sabi nga ang classification is everyone gets sad at one point, right? Now the question yung sabi ni Sir Kenny is nagiging prolonged. Kumbaga nagkakapatong-patong, puro na lang kalungkutan ganyan hanggang sa pumutok na. Yeah, that's how I caught it. But there would be situations like, halimbawa, ito sa third world country tayo, yung mga nasa lower class of society, na sobrang dami nilang problema.
Correct.
Sobrang dami nilang problema. Maybe, alam mo yung problema natin, walang kwenta compared sa kanila.
Sa kanila, kasi pagkain pa lang, problema na.
Diba?
How you live for a day.
Diba? And eto bang sadness na ito is when you equate it, would it equate dito sa sadness ng mga nasa lower nasa lower parts of society compared, kasi it's for sure meron yan, hindi lang na sensationalize because but na sensationalize kasi it's either rock stars or mayaman or alam mo, at least middle class. But comparing to that, parang, diba, I'm not even joking about this, but kung ako yung mahirap, tangina pala nito mga to mga weak ass pala to diba? Parang compared to my problem, to your problem, mahina. Kasi diba, parang let's put it that way. I'm not, and that was not a joke. That my point there is,
correct.
Paano natin siya na-weigh itong sadness na to? Is it basically from the upbringing of that person?
How you see it?
How they saw it? Parang,
or how were they trained for it? Trained to embrace sadness? Is it possible?
Yes. Actually, we can consider na katulad ng sinabi ko kanina na there's a lot of factors kung bakit nagkaroon ng mga tao ng depression. One thing that I think na-highlight ni Tito JM was that parang na may conditioning sa kanya na parang they were trained to embrace it, tulad ng sinabi ni Tito J. Perhaps we could consider yung different social context. Katulad ng ngayon, sinasabi ng iba na mental health ay para lang sa mayayaman or para
Correct.
lang sa mahihirap, di ba? Parang one side lang siya. Yung mga middle class, hindi tayo naapektuhan yan kasi wala tayong mga problema na katulad nila. But actually, there are a lot of, again, different factors. Mental health kasi can affect anyone and everyone. Kahit sino, regardless of age, gender, biological sex, religion, whatever you want to say, mental health can affect you. So, yung perspective na, iniisip ng mga tao na weak ka lang, di mo kakayanin yung mga nakaranas ko dati, di ba? Sobrang dami kong pinagdadaanan. That's on them. I mean, it's an individual thing na maybe mas mataas yung resilience nila. Diba?
Okay.
Maybe they are mas sabihin na lang natin na mas makapal ng balat nila in a sense. But it doesn't necessarily mean that immune sila sa mga mental health problems. They can also be affected by mental health. But we can see in, based sa scientific journals that resilience is a protective factor against depression. But again, it has to be contextualized. Kung ano yung konteksto ng sinasabi niya na weak ka lang, di ba? Stigma yan sa mga tao na na akala nila na weak. Pero again, anyone can be affected by mental health. So hindi naman yung sinasabi na pag sinabi na weak ka, ibig sabihin magkaroon ka ng mental health problem. It's just na baka mas sensitive ka sa area na yan. Diba? Lahat naman tayo sensitibo sa ibang aspeto. Diba? There's always something that will hit us very close. Super triggering sa atin. At hindi mo alam kung ano yan unless you hear it or unless you experience it. Kaya para sa mga tao na nagsasabi ng ganyan, baka hindi pa nila alam kung ano yung nagtitrigger sa kanya. At pag naranasan nila yun, magiging malaking problema para sa kanila.
I think that that captures me on what you said, yung something that triggers and hits you. It's very siguro in my observation, no, because I've been running corporate teams. So makikita ko sa young workforce, they're very vocal about it, what hit them, what offended them, etc. Kasi initial reaction they will say it. It's very different. Pero sa age namin ni JM, it's a little different. If we're offended, we just kept quiet. We just go ahead and go to a bar and drink. Or abangan mo sa labas, ampakin mo yan. Ganun lang. That's how we handle it. But,
kaya doon ka na sa sad eh.
Doon ka sa sad eh. Inom natin to. Buisit tong boss ko. Parang ganun eh. Pero, is it, so it's obvious that the different generation handles it differently. Yeah. Pero siguro, ang question ko doon is it right that they handle it like that? Or it should be coursed into a proper forum?
Well, syempre, ang gusto natin, yung pinaka-best option would be na kausapin mo ang isang professional. Maybe a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Pero syempre, may mga tao na ayaw talaga pumunta sa doktor kasi isipin ng mga tao na baliw sila kapag pumunta sila doon. Diba? Tama. Isa yan sa mga big stigma ng mental health. Kaya,
Kenny, I will interrupt on you on that. Ano ba pagkakaiba ng baliw sa isang mayroong depression? I think yun yung kailangan para maging open lahat tayo sa ano na yan eh. Is it the same or is it different?
Well, sa context ng Tagalog, iniisip ng mga tao na oo, same siya. Pero, taken literally, di ba, baliw is crazy. Tapos kung may tao na may depression, hindi naman depression is baliw. Diba? Depression is sadness. So, sobrang lungkot yung isang tao. To the point na naapektuhan siya ng different physical and mental problems, and then it affects yung activities nila. Katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, na naapektuhan ng work niya, ng galaw niya in general, in relationships. Yun ang totoong depression. So, yung parang going back to answer ang isang question dan sa comments na kapag sobrang sad ka for a long period of time, depression na ba yan? Not necessarily. may mga specific targets, may mga specific things na hinahanap namin when it comes to depression. Kami mga, practicing professionals. Parang pag pumunta ka sa doktor, 'di ba? Pag sinabi, "Doc, parang may dengue ako." Tapos paano mo masabi na may dengue ka? Kasi doc, may
Feel ko
lagnat
lang.
ako. Oo, hindi feeling lang. May lagnat
May,
ako, may ubo ako, sobrang hina ko.
oo,
Parang gano'n, 'di ba? May checklist. So the same thing
oo.
with mental health problems. May checklist din kami. So it has to affect your life in a very noticeable way. Na kahit ibang tao nakikita na hindi ka okay, parang naapektuhan na yung trabaho mo, yung pag-aaral mo, yung relationship with other people, yun. Sorry,
Pero
na-segue ako.
no, it's
Okay.
okay. But there are, and I would like to follow up on that. Siguro ang question ko dun is, now, we have these situations na, I remember that a daughter of one of the actors dito sa Pilipinas, na parang, ganun din yung nangyari, depressed,
Correct.
but
Mm.
I forgot the name, but recent lang siya, parang couple of years back, na masayahin yung bata. And this was just, adolescent stage to, parang mga teens to, na bata na to. Now, masayahin yung bata, they didn't notice, the parents didn't even notice, and then all of a sudden, boom. You know?
I think yun, very interesting kasi kanina sinasabi ni Kenny, may mga common
May mga
common
symptoms,
kang
parang,
ma-observe, di ba? So, what about this? Itong mga underlying that we can't see. Paano kaya namin, lalo kami ni JM will apply on it Dahil parents na kami, maaaring mangyari sa mga anak namin yan. Sa mga listeners namin, sa mga friends mo, sa mga katrabaho namin, yung mga hindi nakikita, paano namin, may paraan ba para lumitaw yun at mabigyan namin ng tulong or anything na attention na kailangan?
Well, sinasabi namin na isa sa mga pinaka-importanting na kailangan ng mga tao na may mental health problem is social support system basically. Dapat may isang tao na, you can talk to them, you can share your thoughts with them. Isa yun sa mga pinakakailangan ng mga tao. Ang sinasabi namin usually kapag, parents or older generations yung audience namin is kausapin niyo yung mga anak ninyo. I mean, allow mental health to be a normal conversation. 'Di ba? Anak, kapag may problema ka, just to put it in a theoretical context. Anak, pag may problema ka, pwede mo naman akong kausapin, 'di ba? Kahit anong problema na 'yan, we'll go through this together. Parang ganyan, para hindi nila mafe-feel na mag-isa lang sila. Kasi that's sometimes what young people, we tend to see with young people is they feel alone. Kahit yung mga magulang nila, kahit yung mga kaibigan nila, they cannot talk about their problems kasi baka ma-judge sila. Baka ma-judge sila ng mga kaibigan mo, ng mga
That's
lalo na
obvious.
pamilya, di ba? Kaya we would really recommend that parents be open to talking about it with their kids. And it doesn't have to be yung very serious na ganito yung usapan na mental health, depression, suicide, ganun. It can be simple like are you having a difficult time with schoolwork? Are you handling your emotions well? How are they handling their emotions, 'di ba? I mean, I'm sure that both of you have more than one kid, 'di ba? So
yes.
hindi lang bata, hindi na baby na yung mga anak ninyo, may edad na sila. So know what it's like to be that age. So if you feel that, syempre ang I would always say no also. You also have your parents' intuition na may nafe-feel ka na hindi tama or may mali. So you feel that there's something wrong with your kid. That's already a sign, 'di ba? You as a parent know that maybe it's something that you can insert with them. But, there are a lot of people na hindi talaga sila nagsasabi sa mga magulang nila kasi natatakot nga sila. Natatakot sila na di sila tatanggapin yung sasabihin nila. Ba, isa 'yun. Baka ma-judge sila ng mga kaibigan or mga pamilya, 'di ba? Hindi, wala lang 'yan, nag-iinarte ka lang, 'di ba? Kulang sa kulang sa dasal. Hindi ka kasi nagsisimba, ganun.
Well, very common 'yan. Very common 'yan, no? So let's hold that line. Kasi very common on a parent that they will say that those are religious type of things. Hindi naman sinasabi natin siguro mali or
hindi naman sinasabi na against people who are religious, ha?
Does it add more pressure for the person or for that let's say for yung affected person na not to open up kasi there's a pressure of context of God knows Or God will judge you, something like that.
Well,
Or God
parang
is judging you.
ganito.
Kasi parang ganun. Pag sinabi mo, di ka nadadasal. So God is judging you.
Well, may mga tao na iniisip na ganyan na if you have a mental health problem na you're being possessed by the devil, 'di ba? Parang
Nako,
ganun.
alam mo, linya sa amin yan ni JM nung mga bata kami.
Demonyo ka,
Monyo
ganun.
ka!
Sa
Totoo yan.
animal!
Animal! Anak ni Satanas. Judas!
Yun
Barabas!
yung yun yung naririnig natin dati.
Oo.
And syempre may mga tao na hanggang ngayon, yan pa rin yung iniisip nila, which is somewhat of an old-fashioned way of thinking. Isipin na lang natin, isa sa mga naririnig namin sa mental health, nung panahon namin, wala kaming ganyan problema. Isa yan sa mga
Correct.
naririnig namin, very
Oo.
common.
Oo.
On one hand, okay, kami, like say for example, mga millennials,
Hmm.
we understand na iba yung environment, iba yung culture nung 24, 21, 25 years old kayo, nung kaedad nyo kami, when we were
Oh,
our
yeah.
age. However, now, we're in the 21st century, 2020 na, malapit na mag-2021, di ba? Sobrang iba na yung mundo. It's a very different world with technology, social media, with everything that's going on. Ngayon, coronavirus, it's a different world. And to say na nung panahon namin, wala kaming ganyang problema, it's like, hindi kayo nag-i-imagine, hindi nyo na you're not really thinking na it's 2021 or it's 2020. You're thinking like it's 1995. Parang yun yung iniisip nila. So, dapat, even older generations of people have to adjust, di ba? I'm not saying na lahat ng older generations. Kasi alam naman natin, yung sinasabi nila, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Di ba? Sobrang hirap paguhin yung mindset ng ibang tao.
Correct.
Pag yung iniisip niya for the last 50 years, ganito, tapos sasabihin mo in 2020, hindi po, ganito na po siya. Parang, bakit? Paano? So,
Kenny, that's the something that strikes me, no? Yung mga support system ba kailangan din ni coach?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right.
Kasi
Okay.
if
Paki-coach
diba?
yung mga magulang namin. JM, gusto mo pa-coach yun? JM, gusto mo pa-coach yung parents mo? Kasi sabi ni Kenny, dapat daw kino-coach din yung mga parents sa support system eh. Baka gusto mo pa-coach natin mga parents.
Hindi, okay. Sa'yo applicable, sa akin kasi pupunta ako ng Eternal Gardens. Coach na naman ako.
Ako medyo mahirap yan, ha?
President tayo, di ba?
Sige nga, this is the first time that we're hearing these things, like the support system
Diba?
is to be coached.
Diba?
Kasi mahirap yan eh. Like baka nagpe-presenta tayo sa kaibigan natin na support system mo, pero di pala natin alam kung ano dapat gawin. Kaya lalong na didisgrasya yung tao. Sige,
Ako,
Kerry, go
sasabihin
and
ko lang,
talk about it.
tungkol dyan, hindi naman na kailangan ng parang ituro mo talaga kung ano yung tama, ano mali. Pero, dapat lahat tayo, merong support system. Diba? Meron tayong mga kaibigan, family members na sobrang open tayo sa kanila. Pero kahit tayo, as someone else's support system, pag may tao na nagsabi sa'yo, pare may problema ako, diba? You wouldn't want someone na, pare pwede mamaya na lang. Or, pag sinabi mo na, hindi, wala lang yan. Parang, nag-share ka sa ibang...
natin yan.
Oo, parang nag-share ka sa tao, tapos, hindi nila, totoo naman yan.
Actually, I believe you because I went in siguro somewhere around 2011, 2012 last year that of the last decade that I was really kasi ako hindi ko kasi ma-classify na depressed pala ako. Pero okay, malungkot ako noon. Panahon na 'yon. Sobrang lungkot that I try to find answers. I try to switch to alcohol, ganyan, to work. Alam mo yung umalis ako ng workplace, lumipat ako ibang company na pagtatrabahuhan, just to erase memories, to it's not kind of running away from it instead of facing the music, so what happens is that I stumbled upon something na I completely agree to what Kenny was saying, na ako noon, syempre, ganap ako. syempre, you've been to a bad situation. And then, I was looking for, parang kailangan ko ng support system. Ayoko ng mga tropa ko. So, gahanap ako ng magagandang doktora. Ganyan, syempre, makipag-usap ka rin lang. Sarap makipag-usap, maganda, di ba? And I'm willing to pay na ganyan. So, parang, okay. And then I encountered a friend, siguro one of my customers, kasi dun sa mga racket ko, sideline ko, which happens to be which I'd like to greet Doc Lori. She's my friend, and naging friends kami with the relation dun sa mga sidelines ko. Ako yung nagfi-fix ng computer niya, and then I kind of found out that she's sa pangalan nito sa De La Salle, Green Hills. Sa Lasal Green Hills na ano tawag doon? Guidance counselor. Guidance counselor. So, parang, okay, let's try it out. So, we went out for coffee, and then ganyan. Then all of a sudden, the approach was different. Parang, hindi niya ako pinapatronize. She's not patronizing me, but she's kind of asking me, whatever you wanna do, as long as mag-steer away ka dun sa kalungkutan, nararamdaman mo, and then eventually, you'd learn to heal. And when you heal, it depends kung paano mo gumaling ang sugat, di ba? A lot of people would have different ways of healing. Same with depression, same with sadness. So, syempre, sabi niya, gusto mong gawin lahat ng gusto mong gawin. Okay, ginawa ko lahat ng gusto mong gawin eh. So, yun, parang I started dating, I started looking for happiness, a lot of places. So, and then you heal, and then eventually you found love na nawala sa'yo. Alam mo yun? And then, parang all of a sudden, it's a process. Hindi naman siya pwede bukas wala ka na problema eh. Bukas di ka na malungkot eh. It's gonna take months, it's gonna take years, it's gonna take, sometimes it doesn't end. Sometimes it doesn't end. Hopefully for me that ended, and and I completely believe that. Now, that changed my psyche about perception. Kasi dati alam ko, puta, weak tong hayop na to. Ganun ko eh. Dati, weak as ang puta. Talaga, these words come in my mouth. Baka ba tayo bobong puta? Ako nga nun eh, problema akong dinaanan eh. Demonyo from hell and back.
Ito pa yung mga linya yan. Mag-isa akong tinahak yan.
Binibili ng tatay ng kotse. Ganun yung mga rason ko eh. Para, ako nga punta nagkakotse, ako kailangan magpawis, magpagod, magpuyat para magkaroon nito. Ganun ako dati. That's my mentality before. Na, when I felt that sadness, oh shit. Alam mo yung nasa kotse ka na, and I'm a grown-ass man. I'm 220 pounds back then. Na para, hawak ko manibela. Alam mo yung umiiyak ako sa kotse, sinara ko talaga yun. Una, binuksan ko yung bintana, and then sumisigaw, I was really mad. And now, looking at it now, that I felt that I healed from that already, na parang, pubo ko nun, munti ka pa ako ma-aksidente, munti ka pa ako kung ano mangyari sa akin, na parang I lost control for a bit. And my friends were like really concerned about me back then, na parang, nag-spiral down na ako, pero, I always kept a smiling face in front of everyone. Pero alam nila, in the back end, hindi lang pwedeng iwan mag-isa kasi I'm gonna do stupid things. Kaya nabuko yung dati, di ba? Tanda mo, I was really 230, 240 pounds back then. Around 2011.
Biglang
taba. Ano ba ginawa ko noon? Bumili ako ng bisikleta, sabi ko, wala akong training, wala akong ganyan. Bumili akong bisikleta, punta ako ng Tagaytay. That's my goal. From Cainta to Tagaytay, that's 80 kilometers. I'm a lard ass. Gagawin natin to. And then, I was doing my bike, I was doing this and that. From 240, I went down to 188 pounds. And doon ko nakita yung, oh shit, ang dami pumapansin sa'yo pag maganda pala yung katawan mo ha. Sana still away ako sa sadness. Yung lang lungkot ko kasi masaya pala to. Pucha, pogi ko pa pala eh. I was 35 back then. Parang, ang ano ko pa nun, ito pala yung mga market ko, no? Pag 35 ka, market mo, 22 to to 28. Sometimes pwede mag-lower down pa to 21. But para kasi you feel good about yourself. You forget your problem na fit ka eh.
Correct.
Nakakasabay ako sa mga bata. Kasi nagbabike ako eh. Weekly, may 100 kilometers ako sa built ko na lagi kong pinipidal eh. Cumulatively. So, I'm a fit person back then. Parang, okay to ah. At until they get to a point na pero, kada matutulog ka, pag pikit mo ng mata mo, shit, nandun pa rin yung problema. Nandun pa rin yung kalungkutan. Nandun pa rin yung sakit. It's just that, ano ba matimbang? Siyempre, may chicks bukas, so okay lang, matutulog mo na. You have to, uutuin mo, kailangan yung sarili mo eh. Kailangan you have to manage the sadness eh. Kasi sadness gonna be there. You know, it's not gonna go away.
You know, that's a good point there, Kenny. I think that's a question for Kenny. Is there a way to manage it? Like what's the process to manage sadness? Like, kasi you have to undergo process eh. Like what Jay was saying, he was going on process, but it's not gonna it's not gonna happen overnight. Is there a way or like to bring it into your subconscious na ito dapat ang gawin eh to fight this?
Well, ako personally, I don't think there's a one step, like one size fits all na process in managing sadness. Kasi totoo naman na everyone deals with their emotions their own way.
Yeah.
You know, very clear example, ako nung college ako, kapag may problema ako, pare malungkot ako, tara inom. Pare sobrang taas ng grades ko, tara inom. Pare nag-break na kami, inom tayo. Ganun, di ba? Usual, very typical college student, di ba? Some people, you know, kapag sobrang stress sila, nag-yosi sila. Pag sobrang stress, nagbabike from Cainta to Tagaytay.
Tago na lang na sa pangalan JM.
Yung ibang tao, exercise talaga yung exercise talaga yung means nila para mailabas nila yung emotion nila, di ba? Sobrang galit.
Parang outlet is one way of looking at it.
One of the things is you have to find what works for you. Diba? Kung totoo naman yung sinabi ng kaibigan mo, Tito JM, na kung ano yung gusto mong gawin mo to get away from yung sad na feeling. Basta hindi siya yung very life-threatening.
Yes.
Make sure na alagaan mo pa rin sarili mo. Parang ganun. We allow people to do what they want, to find that thing, you know. Nowadays, diba, some people are doing things like yoga, diba, exercise, lalo na ngayon nasa loob tayo ng pandemya, hindi tayo pwede lumabas. So we have to find different ways, diba, of like sometimes journaling, diba? Susulat mo lahat ng nararamdaman mo. Actually, sa totoo lang, very helpful yan.
Journaling?
Like keeping a diary, journaling. Totoo yan. It really helps.
Right, okay.
Kapag hindi mo siya ma-express in words, pero nararamdaman mo sobrang hindi mawawala yung feeling, isulat mo.
Naku,
diba? You don't have to address it.
Mapapabili ang tao nito ng stationery, yung mga nakikinig dito. Yun naman panahon natin eh. You have to buy mga filofax pa yun pare, sa articles, di ba? Yan. Panahon namin yung pare. Kenny, mga articles. A journal book namin, meron talaga noon. Hindi ka sa'yo, Kenny.
Other things that I would really recommend people to do are, you know, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, have a support system. Kahit isang kaibigan that you can share your thoughts with, di ba? Someone who's willing to listen. Lalo na sa mga, like kami, sa mga kabataan, yung naririnig namin, sometimes all we want is someone to listen. Okay lang naman kung wala kang masabi kasi sobrang overwhelmed ka sa mga sinasabi namin.
So the trick there is just to listen, right? Kasi ang minsan kasi yung support system mas marunong pa doon sa may problema. Like what's the caution that we need to tell everybody there? If you're identified now as a support system, ano yung caution mo lagi? Kasi minsan ganun yung conversation eh. Hindi, ang kulit mo kasi. Ulit-ulit na tayo nag-uusap dito. Di ba? Very typical. Pare, narinig na kita araw-araw tayo umiinom. Hindi ka na nagbabayad. Ako na lagi. Di ba? Ano yung caution na kailangan namin dyan intindihin? Na kung ba identified na ikaw yung support system talaga niya.
Ang iniisip ko na sagot dyan, Tito J, I think narinig natin yung word na empathy. 'Di ba?
Okay.
Put yourself in someone else's shoes. So kung
Okay.
isipin mo, kung ako yung may ganitong problema, anong gusto ko marinig? What would I want to tell myself or what would I want to hear
Mm.
kapag ako yung may problema na ganyan? 'Di ba? Put yourself in that other person's shoes. But maybe, medyo mahirap minsan kasi, baka, someone died in their family na
Correct.
sobrang close,
Yeah.
'di ba? It's understandable na buhay pa rin. Let's say for example na namatay yung nanay niya. Ikaw buhay pa rin yung nanay mo. So, you cannot relate na, patay na yung nanay mo. Pero if that happened to you, as a friend, what would you want
Okay.
your friend to hear? What would you want your friend to say to you? 'Di ba parang
Okay.
gano'n?
Minsan kasi
Siyempre,
pinaka-closest mong kaibigan, Kenny, yun ang
oo.
pinakasira ulo eh. Pag
Ay,
anong gusto mo?
at least alam mo na tunay na
Beer,
kaibigan
pare,
'yan.
beer!
Correct. Beer!
Tunay na kaibigan 'yan
Correct,
kasi hindi
correct.
sila
Okay.
nabibiro. 'Di ba? Alam nila kung
Agree.
ano talaga yung nararamdaman mo. Walang biruan diyan, straight to the facts, 'di ba? Minsan kailangan
Yeah.
natin ng kaibigan na ganyan, na
Ayun.
will tell us the truth. Kasi sometimes may mga kaibigan tayo na sorry,
I have
last.
a topic. Sorry, go. Meron pa? Go.
Sasabihin ko lang na nakikiride lang ako sa sasabihin na yan na alam naman natin marami tayong kaibigan pero sa lahat ng kaibigan na yan, sino talaga ang tunay na kaibigan natin? Yun na magsasabi yung matindi yung
Hanapin
totoo.
natin yun. Correct.
Okay, so I have this topic. I've watched this previously. Kay Simon, how do you pronounce that? Simon
Cynic.
Cynic.
Simon
Yeah.
Sinek about how different was or actually it's the fault of my generation and Jay's generation that we have these the current setup of the millennials. How or the current kids nowadays who's like 13 to 20. How do you categorize that? Are they still called millennials?
I think that people who were born post 2000, wait lang kailangan search ko lang. Kasi
may Gen X. Gen X.
Yes.
Ano pa ba yung mga subcategory natin, JM? May nag-X-rated.
Gen Y.
Nag-expired.
Gen X, tapos may Gen Y before, tapos
Gen Y,
baby
yeah.
boomers. Baby boomers.
Baby boomers, yeah, correct.
I think yung pinakamatanda na buhay pa rin ngayon.
Correct.
Yung baby boomers.
Yeah.
Ako, I'm millennial. Kasi
Yeah.
1995 to, I think, 2000, like early 2000s. Yung mga tao na born past 2011, 2010 ata. May new term na tinatawag na centennials.
Centennials.
Search nyo na lang. Sa totoo lang, di ko kabisado.
Okay.
Hanggang millennial lang alam ko.
Eto nga yung na parang how you guys were. Ikaw ba umabot ka ba doon, Kenny, during your early years, siguro elementary or high or siguro elementary? Or during the mga kinder years mo, ganyan, preschool, dumating ba kayo sa lahat na meron kayo lahat prize sa klase?
Like
yung mga everyone has an award?
Star. Yung mga stamp sa mga
parang ganda, oo, may ganyan system kami. Pero hindi naman lahat. I mean, kasi syempre, kailangan mo kailangan mo na 4 out of 5 sa isang quiz para makakuha ng star na ganyan. Tapos ilalagay sa board, 'di ba? Tapos lahat ng pangalan ninyo nandiyon. Tapos kung sino yung may pinakamaraming stars, 'di ba? Makikita nyo.
Jay tayo.
Noon puro kurot ako. Puro kurot ako ng teacher ko, pare.
It's either you're ang dati is let's say you're in a 30 head class. Top 10. And then all the others are...
Pero noon naalala ko noon, pare, mga preschool, lahat ata may award may special award Kahit ano yan best in cleanliness. Ina-awardan yung pagligo. Pare ng bata, no? Di ba? Kumbaga, at ang very young age, delicate yung rejection na hindi nakakatanggap yung bata ng something. Yung mga ganyan yan
I think yun yung mga isa sa factors ngayon with the increasing cases of this. Kasi sa atin, we learned it you know, at a young age,
Yeah.
that rejection is part of life.
But, yeah.
You're gonna be rejected because eto ha, parang tama naman yung sinabi dun sa video ni Simon na parang now that lahat sila kasi nakakatanggap for being you have a prize for being last. You know? Yeah, kasi para mabigyan, para hindi felt rejected. Now the thing
Yeah.
there is real life situations.
Mm-mm.
You're
It
gonna
doesn't
be
happen.
rejected.
Oh,
You
it
know,
doesn't
you're
happen.
not gonna be promoted. You
Correct.
know,
You'll be fired in the corporate world if you're the last.
you'll be
Yeah.
fired. You'll be
You'll be fired.
removed from your promotion. You're gonna do what you're
Correct.
currently
Correct.
doing. No,
Correct.
parang I do you think this has alam mo yun, the way this and I we're completely guilty of that at some point as parents of these generation of this generation na parang do you think that it is a factor that that since we're in an age of rejection is parang di ba may tulfo pa niyan may tulfo na video
Oh.
recently
Oo.
Oh, yung
about yung
teacher
bata
na-reject eh. Oh.
pinatayo lang yung bata. Hindi ko alam pinatayo.
Tinulfo.
Sabi,
Yeah, correct.
sabi naman, pinatayo lang. Kami nga nun eh.
Tuntua kami pag pinatatayo, Kenny.
Dapat, kailangan i-report yung, alam mo yun, nagwawala yung mga magulang na ganito. And, China, it tolerating that would create a hysteria of, of teacher abuse and all that. Pero kasi, we sometimes sometimes it's gonna hurt when you see your kids being scolded by another person that's not
Of
you.
course.
As a parent, that's gonna hurt. But we cannot see our kids the entire day because unless we don't have, we don't have work or we have like passive income that all we do is watch our kids. But if you're working, do you think it's a fault? Who's at fault at this? Is it the system? Is it the parents? Is it,
Or is it social media trying to accelerate it?
yeah?
Actually, yun yung babanggitin ko is actually I think it is the system, the way that we have changed our mindset over the last let's say 20, 30 years. Sobrang iba na. Diba? It's almost, I'm almost 30 years old. I'm 25 right now. So, totoo, hindi naman ganun kalayo yung agwat namin ni Jay.
Correct.
Pero sa totoo lang, I mean, the way that, ito yung sinabi ko kanina, di ba? Yung sinabi ko na, nung panahon namin, wala kaming ganyang problema or iba yung nararamdaman namin nung panahon namin. Yes, that's true. Na in a previous time, before social media, before the internet, before all of these things are available on our phones, it was a different time. So, I don't think that we can really blame parents per se kasi sumusunod lang sila. I mean, sa totoo lang parents are just adjusting to the world. Diba? You're trying to raise a kid in this day and age and you also have to adjust. Diba?
Correct.
They will grow up with technology. You are nearing you're going towards the end of life with technology in hand. But it was not born with you. So it's like that. You're having to adjust. So yung mga nakikita natin sa social media, all those things about people standing up for these different things, 'di ba? Hindi sila naniniwala sa totoong justice, 'di ba? Ipatulfo na 'yan, 'di ba? I-report mo agad 'yan.
Yeah.
I think that's also something that people have become more sensitive to is yung parang yung karapatan nila. They had their own rights. I mean, in general, diba, people have been fighting for their own personal rights for a very long time. But I think it's just becoming more we'll call it talked about because of social media. Na may platforms na walang filter, di ba? On Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, walang filter, di ba? You can say what you want, but
which
there are certain repercussions, di ba? There's some negatives, di ba, with what you put on social media. What you put on the internet is there forever. Kahit anong delete, it's there somewhere. Di ba?
You know what? That's something that's siguro interesting, no? Or very siguro Siguro pag pinag-usapan pa natin to, medyo maraming, it will raise a lot of
Actually,
eyebrows.
ibang usapan to eh. Ibang usapan
Uh,
yan.
is social media really a social support, or is it accelerating depression because everyone can see what's
Yes.
happening?
Exactly.
When we talk about social media and mental health, we have to acknowledge the fact na there are times where sobrang okay mag-share sa social media. 'Di ba may mga times na sobrang
Mm,
supportive yung online community. May mga
uh,
times, 'di ba?
uh,
Pero aminin na natin, may mga times na sobrang toxic yung online community.
yeah,
Pag
yeah,
binasa mo yung Facebook comment section, naku,
correct.
isa yan. And I I think that's one of the way, the reasons why yung sinasabi ng mga older generations, kami mga millennials and yung mga young in the workforce, ang term nila dyan is snowflake. Very fragile kami,
Mm,
mga millennials. Kasi isang pag may naririnig kami na masama, report agad 'yan. Matatamaan kami agad. Ba very emotional, nagre-react agad kami. Which
correct.
is not always the case for, all young people. I'm not saying na lahat kami mga millennials ganyan, pero there
Mm,
are lots of instances na ganyan yung nangyayari, 'di ba? Very reactive yung mga younger people kasi may platform sila. They're very entitled to using technology. And I think, hindi natin pwedeng i-blame yung mga parents na ganyan. 100%. You cannot blame yung mga parents kasi their kids are using technology. They're living with
mm,
technology. So, with tech use of technology, you have the freedom, 'di ba, to use the internet, and it's become a necessity in the 21st century, 'di ba? It's part yan sa Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Hindi
mm.
yung say in yung mga physical needs natin, water, food. Hindi, ang pinaka-need natin ngayon, Wi-Fi. Yung gina-joke nila, yun yung pinaka-need natin ngayon, Wi-Fi, internet.
Correct.
Kapag wala kang internet, nako,
Sa
deads ka na.
pandemic,
Lalo
now
na ngayon sa
pandemic, the
pandemic.
corporate world needs Wi-Fi.
Kami
We need
mga
Wi-Fi.
nagtuturo.
That is
Yan.
true. That is so true.
We are
That's so
so in need of the internet right now. And
that is so true.
it has definitely changed the way that we think, not only about raising kids, dealing with emotions, but mental health in general. Diba? It's
Yeah.
definitely been affected by social media. So I don't think that there's one person to blame, but I think that we are starting to see the negatives of the use of technology.
Pero ito nga yung ito yung in this day and age of information, mas maraming bopis talaga ngayon. Alam mo yun, na-avail, di ba?
Anong level ng bopis to? Yung may sabaw? O yung
Hindi
may
yung pagkain.
Hindi, hindi talaga yung di ba? Parang virtually, alam mo napapanood mo dati na napagkamalan kang vampire. Ang mga taong bayan, tusukin, patayin na yan. Without even getting to the, to
Yeah.
kung ano talaga.
Mm.
Because they're scared of the truth, of the information at hand. Meron lang kami social media, makakatulong ako. Now, this accelerates someone who's depressed. Right? Like, let's go back to the topic. Si Jamir of Slapshot. Ito ha. Now, this happened after a month. And I'm just speculating. I could be wrong. But the situation is around October, mid-October, first week of October, somewhere around that. They broke up. After 23 years of the band, they broke up because of money. The cousin of Jamir is one of the members of the band, also sued Jamir because of, funds not being there in their accounts anymore, blah, blah, blah. So that's the backstory of it. And then after a month, this happening, can we omit na, hindi related to doon? Do you think? Because 23 years of the band, 23 years, exactly. I'm seeing your face right now.
Yeah, parang di naniwala.
23 years of fame. Because they're one of the best bands out there.
One of the best, yes,
You know,
yes.
they're up there with Parokya ni Edgar. They're up there with the Eraserheads. They're up there. They're in the upper echelon of bands. When you talk about bands who lasted for a long, long time, who made a mark in in the music scene in the Philippines. 23 years of that, and you disband because of money, and after a month, this happened.
I would definitely say na hindi lang yun yung problema. There's
Exactly.
definitely, katulad ng sinabi ko, like one of the first questions, there's probably something going on in the background na the media is not talking about. Kasi they want something catchy, di ba? The media wants to highlight, di ba? That this happened. They're trying to get views, people to read their articles. But in reality,
And
there's
ito pa.
obviously something going on that we're not aware of.
Yes,
Actually,
and ito
Jim,
pa. Ito pa ha, sorry. Just like to make this point. Na he was being crucified during that time.
mm,
You know, like the story about me telling you the vampires of before. He's being
yes,
crucified.
yes.
There's a case
Actually,
filed, but there's no verdict yet. And he's being crucified. Tangina, mga ano talaga yan, ganito, blah. And you've been hearing these people. And these are the same people na, R.I.P. Idol, R.I.P. Idol. These are the same
the people,
motherfuckers that
correct, yes.
saying, they accelerated it in the way
Correct,
he
correct.
died. Respect.
Mm.
Bullshit.
Actually,
That made
JM,
me
yan
sad.
yung isa kong tanong eh. Mas easy ba talaga pag public figure ka na mag-decide to end it rather than a private person? Or dahil na si sensationalize na to ng media, and the second is, helpful ba talaga o ang media o nakaka-accelerate din sa mga ganyang depression?
I'll answer yung second question siguro.
Sige.
And then siguro Tito JM could also give thoughts din, no? Na ako, I think yung sa pangalawang question, I think yung focus niyan would be yung mga mainstream media. Like, on TV, radio, newspaper, yung mga ganyan. Oh, well, since nasa Facebook na sila lahat, di ba? Inquirer, ganun. Nasa Facebook na silang lahat. Pero, it's not really helping the way that they write it and the way that they portray yung case. Kasi, sensitive information yun. Actually, ibang usapan actually yun yung social media tsaka mental health on paano nila sasabihin na may namatay dahil nag-suicide siya. Diba? The way that they say it would sensationalize it. Diba? So, like, being very graphic about what actually happened. Diba? Died by, tapos yung method kung paano. That's a super no-no kapag nire-report mo yan.
And there was even pictures of him in the
Pictures.
hospital with
that's even worse.
There were pictures, and there was and the captions were R.I.P. Idol. And then you're gonna freaking, and then actually that ticked me off. Tell you honestly, that ticked me off. And parang and these are the same people, and this is what I hate about the how blogging evolved right now. For the sake of likes. Because dati before,
sobrang two-faced, no?
When we started blogging, we're just like there to master the craft, to not make stupid grammatical errors because I'm really not a journalist. That's part when we started. And now, alam mo yung kung ano na lang, sabi ko, ibang klase. And then, it came to a point that, eto ha, pablabas mo yung picture. And then, these are the same people glorifying suicide. And this is really what I don't like. You crucify the person, and then after that, when the person died, you're kind of glorifying what happened. It's like, completely, and these people should go to jail. To tell you honestly, these people should go to jail. For we gotta have clear laws on that. Yeah, and this should be part of, even if you're dead or you're not dead and someone said something like this, you should be spending jail time on this. Because there should be repercussions. I've discussed this with you. I want there to be a point in time that dapat tanggalan ka ng karapatan mag-social media habang buhay dahil sa kabubuhan at katangahan mo. Alam mo yan? There would be hits. There would be hits. And now you would be sensitive about how other people feel. There would be people na tatanggalin talaga na habang buhay sa social media. They don't have the right. Because there would be people that's not fit for social media. Like basketball. Not everyone can play basketball, right? You know, I can play basketball, but I'm on a professional level. All right. No, same with social media. There should be people not. They could have a cell phone, but they don't. They should not have any
Dapat
social media apps. They should be banned from it.
or view lang, no? View, no comment. Bawal ka mag-comment.
Diba?
Kaya tingnan natin, di ba? Ang dami
Kasi-
ng report button ngayon eh.
Kenny,
The problem. Sige.
eh, I guess Kenny, no, going back to sa depression, no, may one side yan na very obvious. And social media is also helping to highlight it. Ito yung mga nagpo-post ng mga picture na sinasaktan nila yung sarili nila. Is it something really intentional that they're doing it, or they're just looking for attention? O talagang gusto, o attempt talaga nila yan na, alam mo yun, tapusin ko na. Kasi minsan pare, pag may sa mga friends list mo, may makikita kang ganyan na update profile picture pa, di ba? Gory eh. So minsan, ako, sorry doon sa mga tinanggal ko na nanonood ngayon, I am really sorry. Pero I don't have the appetite for it. But I'm trying to understand, kaya meron tayo nito, baka sakaling i-accept back ko yung friend's request para maintindihan ko yung situation.
Actually, well, ito yung sinasabi ng ibang tao na nagpo-post lang sila ng mga ganyan para mapapansin sila, ganun.
Yes, very common.
Sa totoo lang, there are some people who are like that. Di ba, naghahanap talaga sila ng parang attention, yung validation na, oo, ito yung nararamdaman ko. Di ba? Pero there are some people na, sa totoo lang, nag-share naman sila sa social media kasi doon talaga sila pwede mag-open up eh. Wala silang ibang platform, di ba? Baka hindi sila comfortable to talk sa mga kaibigan nila or sa mga magulang nila. So, doon na lang sa social media sila lumalabas ng nararamdaman. Which is something that we would definitely say you have to be careful with. Diba? Hindi naman lahat ng tao na nagpo-post ng mental health sa social media ay, naghahanap ng attention lang. Baka it's a call for help lang talaga.
Okay.
Na they are actually looking for someone to help them, to support them. Pero sa totoo lang, meron din, may mga cases na nagpo-post lang yung mga tao for the likes, for the validation na, oo, ito yung nararamdaman ko. Yeah. Which is, kami as advocates ng mental health, we try not to highlight that kind of behavior. Yeah. And we try to get people not to endorse that kind of behavior, pero we try to talk to the person mismo. Ano talaga yung nararamdaman mo?
Tingnan mo yung profile, no? Ano favorite one?
May mga ganun.
Romance.
Kenny, you spoke about kanina, no? Support system. Calling for help, calling for support. Do you think in the current setup ng pandemic, do we have that enough support system to deal with everybody who is feeling with this? And ano yung siguro simple recommendation mo on how people can reach out to people that already is vocally saying it na depressed ako, this is I'm calling for attention, I'm calling for help. Ano yung mga tips mo for our listeners?
Problema namin yun nung March. Nung in-announce na yung ECQ, yung GCQ, yung first quarantine wave, nung in-announce yan, sobrang daming tao na naapektuhan, hindi na sila pwede lumabas. Can't meet their friends, can't meet their family, can't go to work. They can't go to like the places they need to go. It's become very difficult. And as you know, we're already reaching, ano na ngayon? December na, almost. 9 months na tayo, nakakulong sa bahay.
Oh, yung iba regular na. Tapos na yung 6 months na regular na, mare.
Saka na regular sa kitchen.
Sa kitchen.
Sa kama, sa sala, ganun. Pero sa totoo lang, it's become very difficult for people. At sa totoo lang, hindi naman talaga enough yung online lang. Although, let's be honest, we have to do what we can. Diba? With regards to public safety, ayaw namin na mahawaan tayo, ayaw din namin mahawa sa ibang tao. We need to treat coronavirus as a public health concern. Diba? It's not government scheme. It's not a plan for China to eradicate the population. It's becoming a public health concern.
That's a Tito talk for you. We always talk about that. You're capturing it, Kenny. Very good.
China Master Race ganun. Hindi. It's actually a public
That's
health
correct.
crisis.
Yes,
And
correct.
we need to realize and we need to admit that there are lots of people who are having a difficult time in dealing with just being at home. Hindi talaga sila sanay na nasa bahay lang sila, pagkagising nila, on lang nila laptop, tatayo para mag-CR, pumunta sa kusina, tapos babalik sa kama. That's become the normal for us now. And
That's correct.
for people who are used to a more active, we'll call it friendly lifestyle, di ba? Yung people who
Yeah.
are actually out with people, it's
Okay.
very difficult. And with persons with mental health problems, naghahanap talaga sila ng support, di ba? Yung mga, like, they cannot go to see their psychologist or their psychiatrist. Mahirap din yun, di ba?
Do
Hindi
you have
wala silang access.
correct? Do you have activities dun sa organization nyo ngayon that you can that you may want to share to our viewers, no? Your
Well,
age,
well, for
or
us,
pwede ba kami doon? Fit ba kami doon? Pwede pa rin kami? If
oo naman, open for all naman yung mga events namin.
okay.
Pero syempre
Oo.
yung focus, yung target audience would be mga kabataan. But
Yung
open to all
mukha,
yung
pag
situations.
pumasa naman yung mukha, pwede naman.
Oo.
Parang awkward. Oo, parang awkward naman.
Ano ba yung qualification namin ng youth 15 to 35?
Ay, sayang. 36 lang kami. Sumablay tayo ng 1 year.
Di
Sige.
advocate lang kayo, advocate lang.
Advocate, alright.
hindi na youth for mental health. Mental health advocate na lang.
Sige,
Pero
share to us the activities and
just some
yung
things,
volunteers.
yeah.
Baka may volunteers na gusto?
Just to finish wrapping up yung last part na sinabi mo kanina, na what can people do ngayon sa pandemya? Una sa lahat, mag-reach out ka. 'Di ba? Dahil lahat tayo nasa bahay. Alam mo naman na nasa bahay lang yung tao na 'yan, 'di ba? Na either online siya or may access sa cellphone niya or sa SOCMED niya. Mag-reach out ka na lang, 'di ba? Wala namang masama diyan. Oy, pare, kumusta ka na? 'Di ba? How's life there, 'di ba? Okay naman kayo diyan? Kumusta yung nanay mo? Ganun. Yung simpleng kamustahan lang na you would do in person, pwede mo ring gawin sa sa social media at mas madali lang ngayon, 'di ba?
Yep.
Some things that I would recommend that people to do, especially like for those na nanonood ngayon, kahit tito talaga kayo or kaedad ko na youth pa rin, or even if you're an older generation, things that you can do are take time for yourself. Isa sa yan sa mga pinaka-importante. Hinighlight ni Tito JM kanina, self-care. Diba? Yun yung ginawa niya. Yun yung ni-recommend sa kanya. Self-care. Do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Diba? As long as you're doing it safely. Diba? As long as you're being safe about it. Lots of people nowadays, katulad ng sinabi ko, are trying out yung mga plantito, plantita, diba?
Dumami.
Plant daddy, ganun.
Oo, dumami sila eh.
Oo. Tapos,
ganyan
baking, di ba? Cooking. Sobrang daming tao na nagbebenta ng pagkain ngayon.
Correct, actually.
Diba? Online business. That's what people are into right now. They're finding things that they enjoy. At ngayon lang sila nakaroon ng oras, di ba? Now is the best time.
During the first yung mga March, April, syempre, shock naman lahat eh. Parang after we were able to na ma-identify na okay naman pala, tuloy ang work, ganyan. Sa bahay nga lang, alam mo yung setup. Now, is the fun part. Shit, bye. Bababa ako, ano to?
Actually, ako pa rin, nagbibihis ako for work eh. Kahit nandito lang ako sa kwarto ko.
So, ang mga ginawa ko noon, syempre, is, I had time now to cook. So, ako kung napansin mo dati, Jay, yun, yung pinipicture ako yung mga ulam.
No.
Alam mo yung kada tanghali, alam mo, ginugutom ko lahat ng mga friends ko.
Chef
Anak
Boy
ko, nagpo-post
Negro.
siya sa What's Your Ulam Pare? Facebook group, What's Your Ulam Pare? Doon ka pala nagpo-post sa JM, ha?
Hindi, ayoko doon. Kasi alam mo, hindi ako pupunta masyado ng groups na medyo hindi ako komportable. Tulad niyan na parang, kasi strong yung personality ko eh. Medyo kasi, pag tatanga-tanga ka sa harap ko, kakaldagin agad kita. Kasi gano'n eh, tulad ng first day, parang sumali ako ng para sinali ako ng NBA talk. NBA talk,
Nangaway ka ba doon?
Oo, ginulo ko talaga unang araw eh. Parang hindi ka, okay naman, hi, hello. Tapos meron para
Oo.
isang, alam mo yun, magmamagaling sa social media. Ganun ba? Okay, sige. Na-offend siya, hindi niya na kinaya. Okay, bye. So,
Mm.
tinusubukan, you have to test the waters kasi tulad yan, sobrang konti na lang yung groups na kasali ako, na ilan na lang yung nag-administer ako, na-admin ako dun sa group. Pero most of the time, I select groups pag alam ko, ay, putya, puro mga ano dito di ba may mga online rambulan, online suntukan, may mga ganun eh, may mga online kulitan, tas may mga,
Mm.
yung mga online na puro mga chicks naman yung sabi ko, parang, ah, hindi siya healthy, hindi siya nakakadagdag. Next is, kagaya na sinabi ko last time sa'yo, I unfollowed all news outfits sa Pilipinas. Kasi
Mm.
makukuha ko din ako sa friends ko yan eh.
Mm.
Share din naman.
Correct.
Pero them
Correct.
shoving it in my throat, yung news na puro toxic lang, in-unfollow CNN Philippines, Al Jazeera, ABS, and GMA, lahat. EP5, in-unfollow ko lahat yan kasi para wala na silang chance to go on my feed. So I could post about, makikita ko talaga totoo. Friends ko, alam mo yung mga friends na magpo-post ng family pictures nila, ako si like ako eh. Hindi ko alam kung napapansin mo, Jay, ako si like lang ako eh. Basta nakita ko,
Yeah.
vibes to like ako.
Mm.
Kahit hindi ako kasali, kahit hindi, alam mo yung kahit nakatag yung mga kamag-anak nila, basta ako like lang ako doon. Ano lang eh, kasi nakadagdag siya, unconsciously, you're making an effort to have good vibes on a daily basis. Na parang, there would be problems and shit that would happen along the way, but, paano mo siya i-combat? Wala naman eh. Madidepress ka lang pag dinagdagan mo ng dinagdagan.
Mm.
What you could do is, parang yung iba, they would have flowers. They would have, ako din, alam mo na, ubusan ang gagawin. Bumili akong cactus tsaka yung mga succulents eh. Oo! Bumili ako ng yung maliliit na
May mga
paso.
may mga
Nadali na,
temperature ka pa ba diyan, pare, pangkuha ng mga humidity? May mga
actually,
ganun
bumili
yan
nga
eh.
kami ng mga sprayer, tapos siyempre, inaalam mo, how to grow. Siyempre, so yung mga cactus ko,
Ah,
tumutubo na ulit ng bago. May mga, and then, hindi naman siya time-consuming kasi actually, once a week mo nga lang siya didiligan eh. Tapos ang
correct.
ginagawa ko minsan, uy, pucha, mukhang tuyo na kayo Mga 2 times a week ko siya didiligan. Ayun, namatay yung iba.
Nalunod.
Yung iba, sabi ko, oy, mali pala. Tama nga yung sabi ng mga marunong. Huwag ka magmarunong. And then, yun nga, wala kayo magagawin. Kundi maglinis ng bahay, mag-decorate. I saw you, Jay, nag-decorate
Mm.
ka na ng Christmas tree mo,
Oh, yeah. So, medyo hands-on ako lately. De-develop natin yung mga
Ako,
carpentry skills natin.
so, maniwala ka ako yung Christmas tree sa bahay, sa baba, this is the first time that, kasi I have been in a worse scenario when my parents were split up. We don't really have, so-called family time. Ganun ka-stressful ang buhay ko, pang maalaala mo kaya, Chong. And I didn't have a normal mom and dad, ganito, and time counts that ako din, nagkaroon din ako ng situation na gano'n. This is the first time I actually put up a Christmas tree. This is the first year in my 42 years of existence. Ngayon lang ako nag-put up ng Christmas tree sa bahay. In the time of the pandemic, just to create, kasi, it's gonna be expensive, it's gonna be that and all, but, yun lang yung makakapagbigay sa'yo. The moment that you see your kids
Mm.
laughing or smiling,
Correct. Mm.
that removes the problem. That
Correct.
avoids negative vibes coming in. I'm the other thing with me is that I'm agnostic. I'm agnostic. I respect a lot of people in their religion, and sometimes they don't respect mine, but it's okay.
Kaya
Some
ka
people.
natatawa kanina, nung mga yung tinatawag ka, animal, satanas.
Hey! On! Ayun. So, mo yun, ako, payo ko lang avoiding depression and eventually doing that thing that's not, it's not healthy, like suicide and hurting yourself. There are more things to life. Problems will be problems. Sabi nga nila, pag wala kang problem, ibig sabihin, deads ka na nun. wala ka talaga problem nun. Di ba? Or gulay ka na, or hindi ka actually, kung gulay ka nga, may problem ka pa rin kasi hindi ka makagalaw eh.
Oh,
The only time that you won't have any problems if you're freaking dead already. So, suck it up. So, all you need to do is to make sure I could say manage that. You could find an activity to steer away from the negativity. But at the end of the day, it's just gonna be you asking yourself, okay, you're depressed. Now, what are you gonna do about it? Is the question.
yung question, can I change it? Can
What
I do
are you
something
going
about
to
it?
do? Dito, siguro kung depressed ka, I'm gonna be asking you this question. I'm gonna be challenging you. Are you a pussy not to do something about it? Right? Are you gonna be? Are you gonna be? Are you gonna be? Is depression gonna be? Are you gonna be dealing with depression, or are you gonna do something about it to
Correct.
change the, you know,
Mm,
to change the narrative at least for yourself? Because
correct. Mm,
no one would know what you're going through. But I
yeah,
think not fighting it is dumb for me. Not fighting it, not finding a way to fight it. That's dumb.
it's them.
You have to at least. Ang daming payo is find a support system, blah blah blah. Other people suck it up. I can do this. A lot of people would go to a professional. It's not a taboo right now. Hindi na siya parang dati. Parang pag nagpunta ka sa psychiatrist, naku. Alam mo sa amin dati, pag yung ganon, yung kwento, yun yung nagpapa-check
Ay,
up sa
lahi
akin.
yan.
Diba?
Lahi yan.
Lahi yan, mga may
Lahi yan.
science yan.
Lahi
Ano,
yan.
that's not the way to go anymore. We're
Mm.
freaking invaded by millennials to be thinking that way. It's acceptable na. It's acceptable na. Kahit 40 ka, kahit 50 ka, kung talagang
Oo.
hindi mo kaya yung problema, ask for freaking help. Ask for
Oo.
freaking help. So,
Yeah.
yun lang yung sa akin, Yun lang yung sa akin. I mean, Jay.
Actually, ako, ano lang eh, I just want Kenny to have time to talk about Youth for Mental Health,
Ay,
paano makakatulong. Do you guys need volunteers on this one, on this advocate? Baka, alam mo, marami kaming
Plug.
mga sasabals namin na siguro sa mga edad namin na who is siguro experienced enough to talk to younger generations. Maybe they wanted to volunteer or anything. Take the time to promote your organization.
yeah, sir. So, sa amin kasi sa Youth for Mental Health, ayun tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, we're 15 to 35, pero hindi naman lahat kami ay galing sa field ng psych. There's lots
Mm.
of people from like engineering, from business-related fields, from IT and computer science. We got a lot of volunteers and advocates. Konti lang talaga kami na in the medical field, from psych, from pharma, from nursing, from medical doctors.
Mm.
But we are definitely always open to people wanting to help, promote yung mental health advocacy. We always say you don't have to be a graduate ng psychology or ng medicine. You don't have to be an expert to advocate for mental health. Kasi that's what you believe in, right? You don't have to have a degree in environmental science to advocate for climate change, for the environment. There are lots of people who advocate for different advocacies coming from different backgrounds. So,
Mm.
why for MH, we use for mental health. We have a lot of projects. Well, syempre mostly online, but we deal a lot with communities. We deal with communities, we deal with schools, the workplace, and of course with the government. We try
Okay.
to partner sa DOH.
Okay, so workplace companies can contact you guys because most of the workforce now or workplace are millennial workforce. I have a lot of millennial workforce. Is
I
it?
don't want to say na we try to allow companies to talk about mental health. Kasi sa totoo lang, with the passing of the mental health law noong 2017,
Mm.
there's a provision there that companies are supposed to um, have help available.
Correct. Yes,
Diba?
yes,
They're
yes,
supposed to
yes.
be more open to understanding about mental health, give talks sa mga employees nila, which is, alam naman sa corporate world, minsan walang budget, hindi priority.
Ito parinig ka ba sa akin? Hindi, lagyan natin ng budget.
In general, yung corporate world, in general, some companies, their executives
Lalagyan
are
natin
like,
ng budget
hey, that's not a
sa
concern.
2021.
So,
Okay.
we're trying to penetrate the corporate world. Kasi syempre kami, we're young professionals, we're in the workforce. Nakikita namin yung problema, 'di ba? There are lots of co-faculty of mine who also talk to me about some things. There are lots of other teachers around the country, even around the world, even in the HR industry, 'di ba? HR is a place where they try to make you aware of the rules, 'di ba, of the
Yes.
company. And
Mhm.
then sila mismo, they're also having a hard time with dealing with the number of employees who are having problems, 'di ba?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
this is something that I think companies also should be more open to. Syempre, you don't want to have a case filed against you from Dole na, a certain employee of yours came to us na you're not practicing, proper health
Yeah.
and safety in the workplace, ganun.
Correct.
No one
Correct.
wants that, di ba? No corporation or company wants that. So I think companies also need to be more open in understanding na tao pa rin yung mga workers nila. 'Di ba? Hindi naman
Actually,
sila robots.
Kenny, there are
Yes.
people that texting me now from the corp. Maybe they will contact you. Na-challenge sila doon sinabi mo, wala daw budget. May
What?
message na, Kenny.
Man, 'di ba millennial ako, I'm saying facts. I'm
Yeah.
hard proof, 'di
That's good.
ba?
That's good.
But in a,
That's
in a
right.
in a professional way, we
Yeah.
should be more open to talking about it. At syempre,
Yeah.
isa yun sa mga problema ng ibang companies and organizations, yung pag-check up, pag mag-check up yung employee sa psychologist or sa psychiatrist.
Actually,
Hindi
alam mo, good
siya
point yan eh.
included yan. I mean,
Dapat
nung
yan sa annual
unang,
physical
oo,
exam eh. Di ba?
hindi yan
So,
included dati. 'Di ba pag magpapa-check up ka sa psychiatrist, hindi yan included sa
ah,
HMO. It was not
oo.
covered by the
Correct.
insurance. But now
Correct.
with the mental
Now
health
it's
law,
covered,
it is
yes.
it is becoming na. I think PhilHealth released something na they were
Mm.
starting to have that, and other insurance agencies are also starting to cover that, which is a step
Yeah.
in the right direction, 'di
Mm.
ba? Not
Okay.
just for medication but in general, just a checkup. Simple checkup pa lang, 'di ba?
Mm.
So that's something that companies should be working with. And alam naman natin na they're not enough professionals for us to be tied with companies all over the country. I mean, ilan lang kami mga registered professionals. Yung mga psychologists, there's like what? Less than 5,000. Pati din yung mga psychiatrists, there's also less than 5,000 in the whole Philippines, 'di ba? So imagine how many patients the doctor has to see.
That's a lot.
Tapos you have uh, 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 um, parang a resident psychologist or
Mm.
ano tawag diyan, 'di ba? The
Dami
doctor who is
eh.
with the company, parang ganun. They don't have that for
Very good.
Eh,
psychology. So
maganda
they have
dyan,
to
JM,
outsource.
yung mga DDS at Delawen, mukhang magandang isa, ano to. Mukhang depressed to mga to eh. Awayan ng awayan sa Facebook. 15 mil.
Ayun. So going
Ay,
back
nako.
sa amin sa
Okay.
Y4MH, mostly project-based kami. I mean, we try as much as possible to start conversations. Kami parang
Okay.
yung bridge between yung youth perspective at yung mental health field. 'Di ba? Ano yung perspective ng youth? Kami yun. Kami yung nagbibigay ng boses. We usually have a lot of representation sa like sa hearings or sa focus group discussions or sa technical working groups ng DOH. We are represented. We are represented there, yung youth sector. And
Alright,
we
okay.
sit down
That's
there.
nice.
So we actually do help with the crafting of policies on the SK level all the way up to even
That's good.
national level corporations and organizations. So, Y4MH, the Youth for Mental Health Coalition, we're really trying to push for destigmatizing mental health sa Philippines. So, I just really like to highlight that there are lots of people who want to help in the field of mental health, and you don't have to necessarily again be an expert to help out sa field, 'di ba? Even if you know someone who's having a mental health problem, 'di ba? And maybe the least you could do is at least reach out to them if they need any help, 'di ba? If they need someone to talk to, or maybe you could go so far as siguro kapag pamilya mo siya or someone, like if they need help with getting medication, 'di ba? Maraming tao na kulang pa rin ang medication nila kasi di sila makakalabas. That's a big problem. And
Yeah.
things like that, 'di ba? So yeah, we're all open, if you want to reach out, maybe partner with us, or maybe we could
attach your fan page sa link
yeah, of
ng
course.
video. Yeah, we will.
You could also message me personally. Just disclaimer lang ha. Hindi kami professional organization. Hindi kami like the Psychiatric Association of the Philippines, puro psychiatrist lang. Hindi kami Psychological Association of the Philippines, puro mga psychologists and psychometricians lang. Hindi kami professional organization. We are a youth-led organization, but we are an NGO.
But you guys are doing great.
You guys are doing great, and with that, I hope that this an hour and a
Mukhang may
half.
part 2 to eh. May mga nagtatanong eh. Siguro, let's try to figure out if there's a part 2.
Yeah.
Mukhang topic to eh.
Hindi may kailangang mag-suicide para pag-usapan to eh.
Oo,
Yun nga
totoo yan.
diba?
True.
This should be discussed head on. Walang hiya-hiya. Alam mo yan, kasi what's going in your mind could be dangerous, and a simple ask or a shout for help with someone who knows how to handle it, I think would save lives, would save lots of lives.
Okay.
And thank you, Sir Kenny, for gracing our talk today, and next week, hopefully we have a new topic. I don't have a topic yet, Jay. I think we have to research more. And thank you for those na nanood.
We have 18 viewers kanina. Yeah, 18 viewers.
At one point, no? At 18 viewers. But I think it's racking up na. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us in this very productive discussion today. And I hope we shed a light on some of the questions that you may have, and some of the things that is confusing for you with regard to depression, avoiding a loved one, a friend, committing, suicide and all that. And I hope that this would reach those people that really need the help that they deserve, that doesn't have a voice to or doesn't have the courage to tell the world that they're having problems, they're having depression, they're into some sort in a limbo of sadness, and they need to get out of it. I hope that this reaches out to you. If anything that we could be of help, Kenny, or you want advice from Kenny, from me, I hope from me you could get advice. But if you need tough love, yeah, I could give that to you. But not everyone is created equal. So
yes, correct.
there. Thank you everyone for joining, and until next week, Jay.
Yeah, siguro sa akin very simple lang, no? If you've listened to Kenny, a very confident young man, 25 years old, who can talk confidently about it, ano pa kaya tayo mga katito at katita, di ba? So, reach out lang. Sabi nga nila, ang problema sinusolusyonan, hindi ang pinoproblema. At gaya ng dati, Tito JM, sisimplihan lang natin ang ending. Tito's Day Off is here to stay. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.